Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight podcast, powered by CCRU, Google and Amazon advertising experts. I'm your host, Sarah Brookbank. Today on the podcast, we are joined by the team at CNS Companies, who talk about their recent event with the Northern Kentucky Chamber and their resources for small businesses. And on our Talent Strategy Spotlight, Nancy Spivey talks with Kathy Carnes and Lou Manchisi of the Alternative Dispute Resolution Center at NKU. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CCRU, Google and Amazon advertising experts, and Schneller Knockelman. The Northern Kentucky Chamber has officially announced the list of finalists for the 2025 Business Impact Awards presented by Huntington Bank. The Business Impact Awards are a celebration of the success and strength of the Northern Kentucky business community. You can see all of the finalists and register for the May 1st celebration happening at Dries Pavilion at nkychamber.com/events. Now, let's go meet our members of the week, hear from our sponsors, and Nancy and I will be back with this week's guests.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. CCRU gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, CCRU generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can CCRU do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we'll highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. Excelsior Accounting Services is a small local company providing outsourced controllership, finance director, CFO, bookkeeping, and other accounting services. C-Forward provides information technology consulting services. They install, configure, and support computers, software, and network equipment. Disinfecting for You services residential and commercial accounts by helping clients with disinfecting cleaning needs. Newman & Tucker Insurance serves business clients across all industries, bringing particular expertise to trades, manufacturing, and hospitality companies. New Riff Distilling is an independently owned distillery dedicated to creating world-class spirits rooting in Kentucky bourbon tradition with a modern riff. Hi, everyone. Today on the podcast, we are joined by a number of guests, including CNS Companies. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. So, Kai, let's start off with you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm Kai Marion. I'm the Supply Diversity Manager at CNS Companies. Kelly?
I am Kelly Yost. I'm a civil engineer, also working for CNS. I'm out of our Detroit office and I work on airport planning, design, and construction projects.
Wonderful. My name is Elisa Mako. I am the Vice President of the Center for Entrepreneurship at a group called the National Institute of Minority Economic Development. I am here in our headquarters office in Durham, North Carolina. I'm joined by my colleague, Nicole Giami.
Thank you so much for that, Elisa, and thank you for having us here today. I am Nicole Giami, and I am Project Director for the South Atlantic SBTRC, and I work in this lovely office in Raleigh, Durham with Elisa Mako.
That is great. I love that you guys are all here from different areas. And one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast episode is CNS Companies recently this week did an event where our COO, Gene Kirshner, spoke at the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise event. It was a networking event, a really cool event to kind of network with some of our smaller businesses. So let's jump right in and talk a little bit about each of your organizations and how you guys are working together to help small businesses.
I'll let Kai lead it off with CNS.
Wonderful. Kelly, would you lead off and talk about the services we're providing in this market?
Sure. Yeah, at CNS, we do a lot of infrastructure projects. So I myself am a civil engineer, but we have electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, we have architects, planners. The type of work we do covers all different sectors in terms of highways, bridges. For me, it's airports. So lots of different projects that we work on, and we just looking to expand our reach in Northern Kentucky and meet some other businesses and things like that. And that's the work that we do.
So I mentioned previously I'm supply diversity manager. So at CNS, I help our teams build teams as we're pursuing projects, right? We're always looking for partners who are focused on client service, who are interested in value creation and promoting diversity on the project that we are awarded. So we are always looking for sub-consultant partners, whether it's for design services, whether it's geotech, survey. We're always looking for design and other supportive, ancillary supportive services that firms in the market can provide and help us deliver the projects that we know are needed in the communities that we serve.
And so my name is Elisa Mako. I work for a national nonprofit group called the National Institute of Minority Economic Development. We really have a number of different areas of focus. Primarily, I work in this space really all about entrepreneurship. So part of the Center for Entrepreneurship, we have 4 women's business centers that are funded in part by SBA. We have one located in Durham. We have one located Greensboro, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Richmond, Virginia. So those are our 4 women's business centers. In addition to those 4, we operate a program funded by U.S. Department of Transportation, which is called the Small Business Transportation Resource Center, or SBTRC. And that's where my colleague Nicole heads up that SBTRC program. I'll let her talk a little bit about those services.
Thank you so much. Again, I am Nicole Giammi, and I am the project director for the South Atlantic SBTRC, and I am located here in Durham, North Carolina. However, we do have offices throughout North Carolina. One of the important things for you to know is that part of our work with the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Office of OSTEBU, which is the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, is that as their regional arm, we cover 5 states. So Kentucky being one of them, North Carolina, West Virginia, Virginia, and the Washington, D.C. metro area. And our whole aim and goal is to ensure that these small minority and women-owned businesses, these small firms, can successfully compete for these government contracts at the federal, state, and within local municipalities. So to that end, we do a number of different things. We provide technical assistance, we provide counseling, we work with major primes in the area when they've been awarded major contracts through the Department of Transportation or through other means, and we help to bring what we call as our bonding education program. And so through that curriculum, we work with the prime contractors to provide education and information that will help our firms better compete and ready themselves for subcontracting opportunities. So again, we are all about trying to make sure that these firms are well positioned to work with the major entities across the transportation and construction space in those territories that I mentioned for you earlier.
Yeah, and that is very top of mind for a lot of the people here in Northern Kentucky as we look forward to things like the Brent Spence Bridge being redone, different projects across the region, a lot of conversations about that. So tell us a little bit about how you guys are working together and what kind of outcomes you guys are achieving for some of the clients that you guys are working with.
So I'll tell you, I met Kai Earl Marion a few years back when she was working for another agency. But, you know, the idea was similar that I represented SBTRC. We connected with her at the general contractor where she was working, and we really talked about opportunities that they had for subcontractors. So I think the dynamic is the same. Now she's currently with CNS, and I was thrilled to get a phone call from her and say, hey, let's partner again. So we're really kind of all about identifying those opportunities where there is need for some subcontracting work to be completed. And, you know, how can we prepare our small business clients to work with Kai and Kelly and their team on the different upcoming opportunities that they have?
You know, and just to piggyback on what Elisa described, I think understanding the SBTRC, the work that they do and how they help to support and build the capacity of small and emerging businesses was so important and key to see that process kind of from the beginning to the end has made me just a huge champion of the SBTRC process. But at CNS, we've also worked with SBTRCs across the country. We've worked with them in Florida, in New York, in Connecticut, just to help, because to help firms understand the transportation arena, how to engage, how to meet primes like CNS, whether it's architecture, engineering, construction. We want to ensure that firms know what are the avenues to access opportunity and how do you help to build the relationships. And what are some of the outcomes? We've been able to really help firms, again, access through their bonding education program, the education and technical expertise to help grow their business. And that's what CNS is very invested in, ensuring that our small business partners have access to the resources that will help them to grow. Because we know that once they continue to grow, either they'll grow with us, or maybe sometimes they bring us along. They say, hey, CNS, are you interested in being a sub-consultant to us? And we love those relationships that are mutually beneficial.
All right,
And I'll
anybody
just
else?
say,
Or Kelly, go on,
I was
sorry.
gonna say that's the key word, relationships. It's for us, it's meeting some new businesses and understanding what they have to offer and how they can help us out and how we can help them out. And just getting to know them and hopefully working on projects together.
And I'll just add, Sarah, like Kelly just said, and you also heard from Kai, relationship is it's the key. It's the key word, and it is the critical thing that it is important for us that we spend a lot of time working with our firms, helping them understand how to do just that, because a lot of times they know their work, they know their business, but just understanding how to work with the CNS, how to work with these different government entities, is oftentimes not something that they're comfortable with or that they understand. So we spend a lot of time helping them in that area as well.
Absolutely. We help, I see so many businesses that work in the business for 40, 50, 60 hours a week. We help them take a step back to think about working on the business, right? So strategic growth, what makes sense for me, whether that's certifications, funding, or any kind of different strategies. But, I can't teach somebody how to build a bridge, but we can talk about how to build your business to kind of grow and something that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's really two different benefits of that event that you guys had up here with us at the Northern Kentucky Chamber, building those relationships to get those businesses growing and getting them connected. When you think about these outreach events that you guys are working on here in Northern Kentucky, I know CNS is kind of growing this relationship and the partnership up here. Tell us a little bit more about the benefits of those events and what people can expect moving forward if they want to keep their eye out for a CNS event.
Well, I think it's, just the opportunity to meet others in the industry, right? The industry connections, we talked and we keyed in on it, right? Relationships, the opportunity to know folks who are in the industry, who you may see at the next project meeting or industry day, to start building those relationships. Because we know it usually takes 1, 2, 3 touches before someone says, okay, I remember you. How do we start working together? Making those relationships, scheduling the lunch, sharing your capabilities, learning about the firm and what they're pursuing as well. So again, it's back to the relationships, back to understanding who is interested in knowing you and showing up and showing that you're interested in knowing them as well.
And what we to kind of add to that, we see a lot of our clients are getting work after they've had a chance to, you date somebody before you marry them and kind of get into a contract with. And I know it's an old phrase, but old school. But people typically get to know you. They want to see you multiple times. So they're going to do business with somebody they know, like, and trust. Well, how do you get to liking somebody and trusting somebody? It takes more than 5 minutes at a networking event where you just give somebody a card and walk off, right? So have that lunch or have a few minutes after the session is over to connect with people. I've seen you at these events before. Tell me a little bit more about what you do and kind of really make it a more personal relationship. That word is everywhere nowadays, but it really is critically important.
And
Yeah.
I just want to add to what Elisa is saying there too. Also, I think these opportunities give these firms the opportunity to think about how they can pivot and transition in their business. That's something we are often saying, and is often a lot of the buzzwords out there. But I think when they're in these environments amongst other firms, amongst the various stakeholders, they then have the opportunity to really take that moment and that time aside to begin thinking about their business, what they're doing, where they want to scale, where they want to grow. And again, is this, are there opportunities that if they pivot or maybe transition could be very lucrative in helping them take their business to the next level?
All very well said. And I'll just add, for some, this is a starting point. This may be your first meeting and you get to know somebody. And then, like you all said, follow up, have a lunch, have a discussion about, I might be able to share some information about projects I know that are coming up. You may be able to share information about projects that you know. And we meet people from the airport or from the DOT and we just share information. And for some, maybe it's a second point of contact and we've already met before and we're just continuing to grow that relationship. So in the end, that's the goal, make those connections and talk about projects and how we can help each other.
Yeah, and that all seems so essential as we move forward, especially some things are changing for our small businesses. And I wanted to just step on one of the things that Nicole said, that idea of pivoting. One of the things that I do want to ask is, given the current business environment, what kind of changes do you guys anticipate for small businesses in this year and the years to come?
But, the new administration, I think it's unprecedented, the amount of change that's happened in a short period of time, that, there's always something new, some executive order or some new commitment that is being made, that it's frankly, it's hard for a lot of times, it's hard for us to all keep up, right? To kind of say, I can't watch the news 24/7. I'd go crazy. But, I think our small businesses really, this is the time where I'm encouraging my client base to really demonstrate the value and the economic participation or economic contributions, right, to the space where they're in. I know as a nonprofit, we've been asked to provide some data really around our ROI, right? We receive some federal money from the DOT and from the SBA, and then we've been asked to kind of give back to our funders a list of, these are the events and the clients that we've talked to, and all of our clients together comprehensively have contributed X to the small business economy, or have contributed Y and Z because they helped build the airport and they were on this Brent Spence Bridge project we talked about quite a bit yet last year, even with the Ohio DOT and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. So I feel like instead of kind of classifying people with different backgrounds in different ways, we really want to have a cohesive message about the economic contributions that all of our small businesses are making.
Yes, and certainly, and to Lisa's point, we know that our small businesses are the economic engine and the backbone to our state, to this nation. And so really just helping the firms understand, keep your eye on the prize, stay focused on the opportunities and things out there, and try not to get so caught up or wrapped up into of all this, political stuff that's going on. It's there and it's happening, but I think continue to work on your business, be excellent, do well there, and stay focused, follow the dollars, as they say. A lot of money came into the various states through the bipartisan infrastructure law. So I think our firms really need to stay focused there, and we'll get through this.
Yeah, change is inevitable. But I will say it's tough to watch the news right now, but for CNS, we're on track. We're not changing anything. We want to continue to talk to small businesses. That's not changing for us. So even though there's some change in the world, that's at least one positive light that I want people to know about.
So true. Thanks, Kelly. And I think something else to remember for as small businesses, remember the innovation that you bring to the market. It's so key and it's so needed because innovation in times of change is one of the things that larger firms are looking for. In addition, I think keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening in your region. What we're seeing is a number of firms that are either joining, some that are exiting the market, and those can create opportunities for you to grow. So just continue to, monitor the market, know your strengths, and prepare for when the opportunity presents itself.
And I just thought of one other quick thing, Kai, listening to you talk. We have a national business, so we work all over the country, and many times we need that local resource, that small business that knows the region, that knows the area, that may have good relationships that we don't have. So that's important too in each of the different locations.
Yeah. And speaking of making connections and getting to know people, so before we wrap up, and I'll get everyone's final thoughts before we wrap up. So, are there good ways to contact your organizations for some of our small business firms that are looking to get more involved, looking to get connected? What's the best way to contact each of your organizations?
Right? Well, I would love to connect with you. I'm on LinkedIn as Kai Earl Marion, as well as I'll share my email address, which is kmarion@cscos.com. Please reach out. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to have a virtual meeting or in person, whichever works best for us.
And same here. Check out our website. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Kelly Yost. It sounds like a Y, but it's spelled Jost. So find me on LinkedIn and look me up.
So for the Institute, the website is the THE Institute, NC like North Carolina.org. And also in LinkedIn, Alyssa, ALYSSA, Mako, MAKO.
And I will say, Nicole Giammi here, and I'm going to give you my phone number because that's always an excellent way to reach me. It's 919-799-9587. Again, that number is 919-799-9587. And then also email. My email is my first initial, GYENYAME at the Institute nc.org. And again, that's NGYENYAME at the institutenc.org. And as Elisa said, our website. And so connect with me there and we will assist you. We will provide you whatever support and assistance we can.
Yes, well, thank you, ladies, so much for that contact information. I'm sure some of our members will probably be reaching out. But before I let you all go, I would like to give each of you a final chance to share with our members anything else you think that they need to know about your organizations, about how you guys can assist them, just anything we might not have gotten to talk about yet today.
I will just say, this is Nicole Giammi again. All the services that we provide are absolutely free. And so, again, and one of the things that I find so wonderful, I've been in this industry and doing this work for quite some time, but one of the unique things and wonderful things that I love about the Institute here is that it's really, while we do provide education and information, it really does get to the nuts and bolts. It takes them below the surface to really help our businesses kind of understand not just here's what you need to do, but how to go from A to B to C to D all the way to Z. And I think that's critical, especially because we deal with businesses that are already well established and trying to grow to the next level. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would say to Nicole's point, our services with the SBTRC and with the SBA, our Women's Business Center, are offered at no cost because we get some federal funding. We also, the Institute's a large enough organization that we have other services in-house. I have a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, for those looking for some small business funding. We also can put you in touch with one of my colleagues in our Women's Business Centers, across our footprint. So we'd be happy to help you any way that we can.
And for CNS, I'd just like to say, like I said, we have a national business. We have offices all over the country. I've been here myself almost 20 years. And the thing I love about our company is the culture and just the people that I get to work with every day. Not only do we get to work on really cool projects, but we have fun doing it. We work hard, but we have fun as well. And it's a really great group of people. And I hope that others will reach out and get to know us.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you all so much for joining us on the podcast today. It was absolutely great to have you share more about all the resources that you guys have available for small businesses. So thank you once again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Goodbye.
Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Nancy Spivey, Vice President of Talent Strategies. And today on our podcast, I have Kathy and Lou. And I understand you're with NKU Hales Alternative Dispute Resolution
Almost there.
Center.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like a long title.
You could call it the ADR Center.
ADR Center. Tell me what that is.
Yeah, so the ADR Center, I am the director of the ADR Center, and Lou Manchisi over here is the chairman of the board. And the ADR Center was started about 13, 14 years ago as a collaboration between the law school at NKU and the business school as a way to promote peaceful resolution of disputes in the community in a low-cost, effective way. And so what we try to do at the center to promote that is we provide trainings on mediation and arbitration. We provide opportunities for us as board members and faculty members to be mediators in the community and to just provide opportunities to promote that type of resolution. And so over the years, we've trained students at the ADR Center to be mediators on campus if possible. And we've trained probably now over 150 mediators within the community and take that out into the community and promote this peaceful resolution. So that's the main tenet. And on top of that, we put on this Lou Manchisi Labor Management Conference is another way to build collaboration and alternative resolution within the conference. We promote that as well.
Yeah.
So let me kind of dive into that conference because I
Yeah.
understand it's coming up and it's long-standing. Lou, give me some idea of what happens at the conference.
Yes, the conference, which is on May 16th this
Okay.
year,
Uh-huh.
will have two excellent major sessions presenters.
Okay.
We'll have one that'll talk about implicit bias, and the other one, which is scheduled.
The Secretary of the that Labor Cabinet of Kentucky, Jamie Link, will also be speaking.
Kathy went out and got the Secretary of Labor for the state of Kentucky.
That's
So
fantastic.
She did a great job there. In addition to that, we'll have 7 workshops, which the presenters are from both sides of labor and management. Generally speaking, they're either experts, they're faculty members, they're union or labor, or attorneys in town that represent either side. And they will talk about some of the common topics that labor and management face throughout the year. So it's geared to provide education, to provide some insight, and to help the people with knowledge to learn how to cooperate with each other a lot better than not having that knowledge.
So if I'm in the audience, is it a wide variety of people that attend this conference? Give me an idea.
Yeah, it's a really interesting group because, as Lou said, it's on both sides. It's labor management. So we have shop stewards who come and want to hear about how they can get along with the attorney, the corporate attorney that's there to speak. We have HR professionals, quite a few. We have mediators, general mediators, arbitrators, people that come and kind of practice that area. But generally speaking, it's from both sides and how we can collaborate. So the reason why our center has now kind of taken over the conference, even though it's a lot older than our center, is it also promotes this collaboration and ways that we're not fighting, that labor and management aren't fighting with each other. We're looking for ways to have common ground. So our participants are really varied. It goes from one end of the spectrum to the other. But they're in a room together. They're speaking to each other and they're able to kind of talk about topics. One of our topics is the NLRB update, which is, a huge issue on both sides. And we have someone from the Labor Board, which is our federal agency. We have a management attorney and a union attorney. And so they speak about the updates and they definitely have different opinions on good or bad. But then the audience is from attorneys to the practitioners and then the union members that are really affected by these laws. So we talk about it in different settings.
It's a very unique conference. Over time, there were several of them in the country. But right now, I think, because organizations have actually gone away, I think we're the only organization of this type in the whole United States that gathers labor and management people together and gives them a chance to ask questions of the presenters and to have a great dialogue.
Well, it
So I
sounds like
think we're ready.
breaking the barriers too of like,
Yes.
we're going to be over here, you're going to be over here, and we're never
Yeah.
going to know what the others are talking about.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
getting them together is part of the opportunity here, as I see
Good
it.
point.
Absolutely.
So do you market this to employers in Greater Cincinnati, nationally? I mean, I don't know the audience.
Typically in Greater Cincinnati area. And we have a
Okay.
really, to your question of who's in the audience, we have public sector and private sector. So we have a lot of Cincinnati Waterworks and the Cincinnati Public Schools. They send groups of people. And so particularly public sector union settings would send a big group of them. And some of them use it as, professional development, even for their groups of employees. So it's public, private sector, but mostly the Northern Kentucky, Greater Cincinnati area.
Okay, great. So if I'm an employer and I don't have a union, but I'm thinking it's might be coming, can I come?
For sure. In fact, if you don't have a union, this is just as much for you as well, because there's other programs. Like one of them is transformative mediation in the workplace, how to work through workplace conflict with that type of mediation skills. That's both sides of the aisle, for lack of a better word, both sides of the spectrum, public, private, union, non-union settings. So for sure, it's applicable to all of those areas.
And
Most topics fit the whole idea of employment
Mhm.
setting. So all of these topics fit, and they get a choice of attending 2 of 7 workshops and listening to 2 of the main speakers. So they can pick out the kind of topic that would interest them. So whether they're union, non-union, whether they're thinking that their place will become unionized, it's really an advantage for any type of employment setting.
I will say our keynote in the afternoon, Pastor Palmer, and he's going to speak about implicit bias, as I think Lou mentioned. And what he will kind of talk about is, from a labor management, union or non-union setting, is, hey, how can unconscious biases shape our relationship with the employees and the management? So yes, typically sometimes that infers union setting, but he will look at how that kind of knowing that and then working through those implicit biases might make our relationship better in the workplace.
And registration is open now. How do I register?
You can find the ADR centers, NKU's ADR centers, and you can put in Lou Manchese. Type in Lou Manchese.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
try
yeah.
it, Lou.
About that. At NKU,
You can put Lou
at Northern
Manchese.
Kentucky University, get on our front page of NKU.
You don't even have to do. You can just type
Dot
Lou
edu,
Manchese
just even
conference.
say Lou
Man, cheesy
My
conference.
God, my parents would love me for
Do it.
that.
Do it.
I
Yeah,
love it.
my mom would think I finally made it.
But if you
Yeah,
put it in, there is a registration link live right now, and there is because of the fact that we do get big groups. There's a group rate. I shouldn't have brought that out without knowing the exact rate of, but more than 10 or 12 people register, it can be a group rate. So that's all in there as well.
So bring your team, come
Yes.
and enjoy
And
the
we,
afternoon and learn.
we have lunch, we have breakouts, we have food and snacks. So
Food's the best part of it.
yeah. for some people, the food is the best part.
Oh, and I just
I have some
know,
friends, yes.
I've been at NKU visiting 25 plus years, and it's never looked better. So it's a good time to get out, and spring's a great
Plenty
time
of
to be there.
parking.
Yeah.
Come on out on a Friday, May 16th, and
It's right after
come
class.
on for a great meal and snacks and lots of good knowledge. So,
Yeah. And be
Yeah.
entertained by Lou Manchese.
Oh yeah,
So
he
it's
might not
always that,
sing,
right?
but I think he'll
yeah,
entertain.
right.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for coming in today.
Well, let me say one other thing
Sure,
about
of
our
course.
Alternative Dispute Resolution
Uh-huh.
Center, and that is we have many experts. We have mediators, we have attorneys, we have ex-judges, we have insurance industry experts, all who are available to mediate disputes. And alternative dispute resolution stands for, basically, as a process that is cost effective, that is saves time to avoid getting oneself into litigation, which is not cost effective, which generally takes a long time, and to get your dispute resolved by one of these experts, an arbitrator, a mediator, an ex-judge, an insurance expert, you name it. We have them in our group. So we welcome people to get a hold of us and have a discussion with us and see whether or not we couldn't be value added to their bottom line.
Yeah, it sounds like, again, in addition to the conference. If
Yes.
you need some help with mediation,
Yes.
NKU's got the resource for you.
The conference is only one day a year. Kathy runs this organization 52 weeks a year. We've got some
Even right
super
now,
people.
we are running this week, in fact, a 40-hour mediation training. It's the only one in the state. We work with the Administrative Office of the Courts, the Supreme Court of Kentucky, to run this mediation training because they require to be family mediators, a course such as this. So we're the only entity that's doing it. So right now it's virtual. Judge Karen Thomas works on our in our center as well, and retired Judge Karen Thomas, I should say, but she is running this 40-hour training for the center to train more mediators in family mediation. That's great.
And we do commercial disputes. So, the Chamber of Commerce, we do commercial, we do legal disputes.
Mm-hmm.
Any type of dispute that the people who are members of the Chamber of Commerce, we probably have an expert who can help.
That's great.
Yeah. We're very low cost. We're not that expensive either. So
Well, and
we're-
it cost effective because
Yeah,
obviously if you go
absolutely.
into litigation, I know the cost involved in
Absolutely.
litigation. So
Absolutely.
certainly.
So
All right. Well, thank you both.
thank you.
Chris Knockelman with Schneller Knockelman Plumbing, Heating, and Air. It's spring now, but before you know it, our ACs are working overtime.
Dave, it's going to be warm soon.
Right now is a good time to get the AC serviced, right?
You can get your AC tuned up for only $59.
So get your $59 tune-up at
SKPHA.com. SKPHA. So if your plumbing and mechanical systems give you trouble, just remember our name. Schneller Knockelman.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast. I think we were pretty close to hitting a guest record, which was very exciting. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, C Crew, Google and Amazon advertising experts, and Schneller Knockelman. We invite you to celebrate the Business Impact Awards winners and finalists with us on May 1st at our celebration happening at Dries Pavilion. Like I said, you can learn more about our finalists and register at nkychamber.com/events. Finally, if you are a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're someone who is interested in joining the Northern Kentucky Chamber, please reach out to Lynn Aplin. And if you're a member who would like to share your workforce strategies and resources on our Talent Strategy Spotlight, please reach out to Nancy Spivey. You can find their contact information on the screen in front of you or at our staff directory at nkychamber.com. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next week.